Okay, I'm going to start off by double clicking on the desktop icon Illustrator, which is the orange flower, to get my Illustrator open. We've already done videos online and practiced them, okay? That was the first art element. We're going to move along to the next art element of shape. So you could kind of go and tell your parents, hey, I get in shape at school, not only in physical education, but also graphic arts. Because right now, we're getting into the art element of shape. So let's get into shape, people. All right, I'm going to hit Do Not Register. I'm going to go ahead and hit New Document. Now remember, if that menu doesn't come up, you hit Control-N to get this new document window. I'm just going to go ahead and name it Shapes, typing this on my keyboard, and then I hit the space bar and then my initials. Make sure you put your initials right here. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. Then we have our digital canvas, we have our toolbar, which is nice, and we've got all these other tools that we could work from. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit by hitting Control-, just so I could see my digital canvas a little bit better. I'm at 66.67%, so that's okay for me to start working with my shapes. To work with your shapes, you're going to need to work in the shape tool to start off with, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. I'm going to go over to my shapes, and this is one of the first shapes. It's the rectangle tool. So the shortcut for the rectangle tool is, good, M. You noticed it in parentheses. All right, so I'm in the rectangle tool, but I want to see the other shapes that I'm working with. So what I'm going to do is bring my cursor over here to the rectangle tool. I'm going to bring my pen to the pad, and I'm going to hold it. So the pen is on the pad, and I'm holding it there, and I'm not picking it up. So it's on my pad right now, and I'm dragging it. Okay, so you notice there's other shapes here as well. I'm going to go to this little arrow. It is the tear off. So I'm going to tear it off and bring it up to the top so you can tear it up with some awesome shapes. Okay? Something to realize when you're working in these shapes is that art has two categories of types of shape. When you look at a rectangle or a square, rounded rectangle or rounded square, an ellipse or a perfect circle, a polygon or a star tool, that these lie in a category of art shapes, and they're called geometric shapes. Okay, the other category is called organic. We'll get to those later. Geometric shapes are important because they have sharper edges or curvy edges. They're very kind of exact, man-made, almost like cookie cutter. Okay, if you study geometry, like the perimeter of the sides of a square, or, of a triangle, or the area, you're working with geometric shapes. All right, let's focus on the first one, a rectangle. So we're in the rectangle tool, M. I'm going to go ahead and start giving it a color. I want to give it a fill because a rectangle is, they have enclosed lines. That's important because we can have a fill now, because when we did the lines before, they were not enclosed. That's what makes them a line. But when the lines are enclosed, that means that we have a shape. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit X, and I have my fill, which is right here, and I'm going to go ahead and double click on it. This gets me to the color picker menu. Okay? Over here we have kind of a scale of color, or hue, and I'm going to go ahead and select a blue hue, or color. Okay? And over here is an option to click where you're going to go and select the type of blue you want. You can go towards the darker or shade to get a blue here, or kind of like a mid-tone blue, or you can go to a lighter or tint of a blue. Now you got to be careful because you don't want to go too far into the white, right? That was a joke. Or you don't want to go too far into the dark, right? You want to make sure you're within the color. Otherwise you get a black or a white. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a lighter blue or a tint of blue by closer to the white. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit X to get to my stroke and double click on my stroke. And I'm going to select another color or hue for my stroke. All right, I'm going to start going into another cool color, green, because I'm cool like that. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and draw some contrast within the colors. We got a light blue for our fill, so I want some contrast to separate the colors a little bit more. So I'm going to go a dark green. I'm going to hit OK, and there we go. We have our colors. All right, I'm in the rectangle tool. Remember M for the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw out a rectangle. Now it's really important when you draw out the rectangle that when you have this little targeting, that you put your pen on the pad, keep it there, and just drag it, and I'm dragging it down right now to draw the rectangle. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-A to deselect. Now it's kind of hard to see your stroke because it's really thin. So I'm going to go ahead and select the rectangle and change the stroke weight. I'm going to go ahead and hold the Control key. That's the quick way to go to the selection tool. Now you could just go over here and click that or hit V for the selection tool, but remember, I like to do shortcuts and go a lot faster. I suggest you learn and get good habits. If you start in good habits early, then good habits will follow you throughout. All right, so I'm going to hold the Control key, and then I'm just going to click on this rectangle. Okay, it's already selected, so I can release the Control key, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit the down arrow. Let's make it thicker. Let's try a 7, lucky number 7. All right, so my rectangle has a 7-point stroke weight for the rectangle. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-A, and we have a nice rectangle. Now I'm in the rectangle tool, and I'm going to want to make a square. I'm going to want to make sure all the sides are equal. There's a special way for that. Okay, so I'm going to make like I'm making a rectangle by clicking and dragging my pen down on the pad. My pen is still on the pad. I'm going to go ahead and hold the Shift key, okay, and now you can see that the sides are the same. If I release the Shift key, then it goes to this. But if I hold the Shift key, it goes to this, okay, and I have my square. And I release the pen, and I release the Shift key, all right? But I want to kind of line this up a little bit better because I want to keep everything on the digital canvas, have enough room, and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the Control key and I'm holding the Control key and putting my pen on the pad and clicking and dragging it up, and there we go. We've got it on there. Control-Shift-A to deselect, and I have my rectangle and now my square. The next shape that I'm going to focus on, which is geometric, is the rounded rectangle. Okay, there's no shortcut for it, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. This is my rounded rectangle tool. I'm going to go ahead and make a rounded rectangle, same way I made the regular rectangle, but now I'm in the rounded rectangle tool. Okay, so I'm just going to pen on the pad and drag, and there we go. Okay, Control-Shift-A. I'm making sure that nothing's touching so that I can just clearly see that I know how to do my shapes. All right, so you should practice it the same way. I'm going to also then make a rounded square, and guess what, folks? That's right, you guessed it. You're going to have to hold down the Shift key. Now, I want to place this a little bit better, and I want to save some time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm dragging it out, holding the Shift key, but I'm also going to hold the bottom button on my pen. This allows me to move it around wherever I want. Now, if you don't have any buttons on your pen and you want to still move it around, there's an option for you. Hold down the space bar, and you can move it to where you want. Okay, got to keep it on the digital canvas though. There we go. So space bar or bottom button on your pen, lift the pen, lift the space bar, lift the Shift key. And make sure you do that. Pen's got to come up first before you release any keyboard shortcuts. All right, Control-Shift-A. We've got our rounded square, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to the ellipse tool. There is a shortcut for the ellipse tool. It is, that's right, you're getting good. It's L. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit L on my keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and draw out an ellipse. All right, there it is. I'm going to hit the bottom button on my pen or the space bar just to move it closer. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the color a little bit because I'm thinking everything's looking the same. I want to mix it up. We've got a ellipse here. I'm going to go ahead and double click on my fill. Let's go red or maybe a pink. That's a tint of red. And then I'm going to double click on my stroke, and I'm going to go with a darker yellow. Now if you notice, yellow and red, they are warm colors. Okay, good. For those of you who love colors and working with colors, especially in paint, that's good to know. Control-Shift-A, I've got my ellipse. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a perfect circle. Okay, there is a band called that, I get it, but this is actually a perfect circle visually. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drag it out and hold the Shift key. Okay, I'm just going to move it along here and lift the pen and then the Shift key. Okay, we've got it. Control-Shift-A, I've got my ellipse and my perfect circle. Remember, these are all geometric shapes. All right, we've got the polygon tool next. Poly. Think of poly, many, gone, sides. Okay, so we've got many sides going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag out a polygon. Here we go. I've got it here. I'm just going to move it over so it's on my digital canvas by hitting the spacebar or bottom button on my pen. Okay, if you hold the Shift key down, oops, let's do that. The Shift key, it lines it up kind of perfectly, okay? Just a heads up on that. If I release the Shift key, you can rotate it to how you want. Other things to note about the polygon tool is if you hit the up arrow, it increases the sides. Watch. If I zoom in, you'll notice there's a lot of sides. It almost looks like a circle, but it's a many-sided circle. Okay, so I'm going to hit delete. So let's drag it out again. And I hit the down arrow, and you look, there's only three-sided triangle. That's as low as it could go, right? You can't really have a two-sided polygon. So we have a three-sided triangle. So I'm going to hit the up arrow, maybe something in between. I want a pentagon, but it seems like I can't get it because my up and down arrows are too fast. Okay, so there's a way around that. Let's delete that. And what I'm going to do now is really important, so listen very carefully. All right, I'm going to want a menu screen to open up. So I'm going to bring my pen to the pad and keep my pen as straight as possible, like I'm throwing down an anchor point. This menu will come up. Now, if it doesn't come up, you're probably dragging it a little bit. Okay, make sure your pen is on the pad and you just click like you're making an anchor point. Okay, and I'm going to want a, did I say pentagon, I believe? That would be 5 sides. Okay, kind of like that defense building that the United States has, a 5-sided building. That's a pentagon. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's really small, so I'm just going to delete it. But now I have that pentagon, 5-sided, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as part of the next shape. Okay, and there we go. Looks nice. And let's say you want to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add some stroke weight. Control-Shift-A. All right. If you want to increase it even more and get an octagon, right, because people love octagons, and it's not really working out that way. So I'm just going to bring my pen to the pad and click. And I'm just going to change that to an octagon, octo. Remember, like an octopus, 8 tentacles. Yep, that's 8 sides. Good job. Hit OK. And we've got an octagon. Okay, so I'm just going to drag it out, hold the Shift key so it lines up very nicely. Hit the space bar or bottom button on your pen to line it up. And hit Control-Shift-A. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I hit Control-0, maybe zoom out 1 by hitting Control-. Okay, and we've got our rectangle, square, rounded rectangle, rounded square, ellipse, perfect circle, pentagon, octagon. We're going to focus on the last geometric shape for this video. It is the star tool. All right, so let's try a new fill. I'm going to go ahead, and there's another way to get fill if you want to. You can go up here and hit this down arrow, and you've got a bunch of swatches to choose from. So when I think of stars, I think of yellow, and let's go with the strokes. So I'm going to hit, you can hit X down here, or you could just go up here, and I'm going to go ahead and select a darkened red stroke color. Okay, so let's click out of that. All right, and I have a star. And I'm just going to drag it out, kind of like this conversation we're having. And I dragged it out, and I just pick up my pen, and it's going off the digital canvas, so I could use the arrow keys on the keyboard just to move it a little bit, because it's selected. That's fine. Or you could select it with the selection tool and with the control holding down and move it over. But I just use the arrow keys since it's not that much on the keyboard. I hit the left arrow key to move it over. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-A, and now I'm going to go ahead and draw out a many-sided star. I'm going to hit the up arrow. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Pretty neat. Okay, I hit Control-Shift-A. Whoa, that kind of looks like a gear. So I'm going to want to see more definitive, sharper points, which means I'll have to change the stroke weight. I'm going to hold the control key, click on it so it's selected, release the control key. Then I'm going to go to, let's go a little bit more than that. Control Shift A. Now you can see the points more by selecting it and changing the stroke weight. That allows you to see the points more. Kind of cool. Let's take a look at what happens when you hit the down arrow all the way. Look, it's our friend the triangle. Remember, same as the polygon, the triangle is as low as you can go with the star tool. Okay? A heads up on that. One of the things that students love with the star tool is a thing called the ninja star. Okay? And the kids are super excited about this, so I'll show you as kind of like a fun thing to do as well. I'm going to go ahead and stick with some neutral colors. Let's go with a gray. I'm just going to click on my swatches. This is another way to do it. I'm going to hit X, go to my stroke. Let's go with the black. And I'm going to go ahead and start moving stuff so I can make room for my ninja star. So I'm going to hold the control key, move this over, move this down, release the control key, and I'm in the star tool. So I'm going to want to get the ninja star, but it's kind of hard, so I'm going to have to type it in the number of sides. So remember, the pen has to click on your pad like an anchor point to get the menu up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that pen. Don't drag it out. Oh, so delete that. Make sure you push down like you're making an anchor point. There we go. We got the star menu. Now we've got 21 points. Wow, that's a lot. The ninja star only takes up 4 points. Pretty cool. I'm going to hit OK. You notice my color has changed because I selected the other color, so I'll have to fix that. I selected the other stars. All right, so you see the ninja star? It's right there, but I'm going to have to make it bigger and select the colors I want again. So I hit X. Let's go with the gray. Hit X again. Let's go with the black. And then let's make this a little larger, and bam. Let's try a little thicker of a stroke. Control Shift A if you want to select it, and then rotate it. Go in the upper right corner, you get the 2 arrows. That's another way to rotate it. Kind of cool. Control Shift A. Whoa, bam! You're getting into shape, and you're practicing to be a ninja. What more can a middle schooler want? Enjoy your geometric shapes, have fun, and I'll see you next video.